this is Kelly from up&ovr, and we're here with We Are From Antarctica, who has just premiered their music video for their newest song, Misdirection, here at Emmaus Theater. Can everyone introduce yourselves and what instruments you play?
Absolutely. My name is Mac. I play bass.
I'm Jesse. I play keys and I sing.
Hey, yo, folks. I'm Paco. I play the second guitar, and I also sing as well.
My name is John. I play lead guitar.
Hey, I'm Chris, and I'm the drummer.
Awesome. What's the background on the band? How did you guys all meet? How long have you been playing together? A little bit backstory.
Yeah, so started off like 2016-ish, maybe a little bit before that, 2015, with just Paco and myself when we were in high school. We had rotating members for a little bit, and then eventually, after high school, ended up with the crew that we have right now, and that's pretty much where we're at.
So part of the inspiration behind the music video is Danger 5, which is whose episode you played before. Who came up with that idea? What's the connection between the show and the music video?
I'll let Paco take this one, huh?
That's all you, Paco.
So I'm a huge fan of absurdist comedy and the kind of thing. Danger 5 came on one night when I was watching Netflix, just popped on, and it just intrigued me on how campy and how just vintage it looked while maintaining this sort of fresh look. And the music was I was mesmerized. At the time I was listening to music that was similar to that. But essentially we wrote a song, Misdirection, and I heard the song and I heard the opening riff and we finished it, and I said, wouldn't it be great if we made a video that was similar to the style of Danger 5 while maintaining kind of our own flair. We're not Australian, the show is Australian, so I can't do a good Australian accent without offending some people. I can't. No. Just no. But it kind of worked together, and we actually ended up getting Haoyan of America to direct this project with us after showing a loose script and a few ideas that me and Jess had for a little bit. So
Yeah, could you elaborate a little bit more on how you got the people involved, the director, the actors, and all of that process, where you shot the music video?
Yeah, so the director, we just loved his work. He was the music video director of band Crumb specifically, and we just fell in love with the trippy and almost vivid and creative camera shots, cinematography. The editing was just phenomenal, and just the whole aesthetic of it we just enjoyed as a band collectively. And so from that point on, we were it's a long shot maybe. He's this big music director, music video director. Yeah, as far as we knew, that we thought he was a big shot. And he is, but in our book, and probably by others. But we kind of just we'll send this email out. We'll send him this crazy idea of this '60s spy music video of a band from the Lehigh Valley, and then we messaged him right before quarantine happened, and then a few months later he responded and he said, hey, I love the video and I love the idea of it going. I'd want to see more details of what the music's about, what you guys are, and everything fell into place. We picked him up from New York, and he came by, directed this whole thing and made this thing happen. Super lovely guy, humble. He is wise beyond his years, but yet he seems so not old. he's with us the whole time, man. So
It's wonderful.
yeah, dude. And then from that point, the actors, we kind of were looking for people who had this energy about them, that they would know that this is a crazy, weird sort of concept that isn't particularly common with music videos. And we found Dylan. He did actual work with other bands doing kind of similar stuff, and we watched his reel, and we put out a casting call for him, and he was in New Jersey, and he was super professional and super lovely guy. He's over there, he's super lovely, but he responded, was yeah, I'm so excited, I love the idea. And I was hey, you're this kind of character from the show where you're this masculine, overly masculine 60s macho man kind of guy who's kind of a little bit dim in the head area, and he kind of goes in gung-ho and like really doesn't like know what he's getting into, facing off the evil villain Misdirection. And our other co-star, the other co-lead, Julitz, is a good friend of Jess's, and she did a bunch of like modeling work, and she's like an actor in sort of other video projects. Super comfortable, like star power like all the way through. And we figured that she would be able to capture this sort of mixture between the two female characters, Claire and Ilsa, where it's like this rough but yet sophisticated, collected, like the actual person who's good at their job in this area of the field, and kind of like as seen in the video, like kicks ass. And you know, she did a wonderful job, wonderful choreography. She strangled me with her belt a little bit, but
we had some fun moments
I'll never forget that.
some. So, yeah, we
do.
all the stunts were done, no doubles. You know, we do everything. You know, and for. And for our villain Misdirection, he was he's one of my best friends, Frank. He's like this super eccentric but like adorable guy. Like, and I say that with like the most like sincerity. Like, I've known this guy since high school. He's always had this sort of like presence about him where he could like turn on a dime, where like he'd turn on a persona and say, I am this and you cannot stop me, with almost like, and you won't think that he's acting, like he's just expressing just like the specific energy that like we've been like looking for. And I told him about it, and like he goes, and like I kid you not, this is how he says it, and he says it with the least amount of emotion possible, going, okay. And he just like, he kind of went with it, and we told him the idea, and he goes, so I can be a pirate. And so he's like, the one-eyed patch. And I was like, yeah, you're kind of like a Bond villain. He goes, all right, I'm going to go all out. And he went all out with this outfit, and he really sold the part of being this diabolical like villain. And the other actors, Ralph Donata and Seb Bubo, who Seb is actually Frank's younger brother, they helped a lot with the more eccentric characters. There was a flyman. There was a guy eating a hot dog. You need to watch the video in order to really get that.
Yeah, how many hot dogs did he end up eating?
8 cold.
Too many.
Like they weren't even cooked. Like Ralph was a champ, and he just sort of was like, he owned it. He was like, how many do I have to do? I'm like, until it's good. And he goes, and then he went in with like the most like vigor, just eating in like succulent hot dogs.
Sometimes just the bun.
Just the bun. Sometimes just the bun. And he like sold it so well. And he added to that, you know, eccentric energy. And then Seb, if you look at some of the more, he has more of a like Easter eggy kind of role. He's in his own homemade fly mask. Like the mask that was shown in there, he made it himself. He has a knack of like making like costumes. And the one time he actually showed up as one of a Scooby-Doo villain, like with the scuba tank.
Yeah,
they killed that, absolutely. So.
I do want to say that the hot dogs Ralph ate came pre-cooked. Just don't want to say that we didn't make we didn't make him eat raw hot dog.
Yeah, no, everything was somewhat FDA approved, I would say.
And I would love to transition to talking about a little bit about the song itself and what the writing process behind the song was like. Who kind of wrote it, lyrics, and everything.
Yeah, I would say it's not fair. Jess helped me a lot with a lot of the chorus writing, where she was able to figure out just sort of the hook of the song, where it was kind of about, you know, a descent to madness kind of thing. It's like, I hate to say it, it's like, you know, you're going down a stair and, you know, maybe you've had a bad day or something, and you just slowly just descend, and things just stew in. Your anxieties, your thoughts about certain things, your insecurities, and it kind of all comes to a head when you get down the stairs, you're far away from wherever you encountered something like bad or whatever, or metaphorically the stairs, and you just lose it. And sometimes like you lose it to the point where you kind of like are yourself. You become like this sort of like person that is just so extreme with their, you know, with their aura, with their sort of like aesthetic, or even just their personality, where it just, the worst in you comes out, and in a way like you revel in it. You're almost like, oh my God, I finally get to like finally take all of this out. And the song is kind of like this sort of slow descent. Like the lyrics are like, loneliness and I are dancing down a tango with a modern taste. Kind of, it's like, it's a playful thing. At first you laugh at it, you're like, okay, it's kind of funny, kind of messed up, and from that point on, it just gets worse and worse and worse. And so every verse is like a description of like different things that they're feeling, like being alone, being lost without purpose, just genuinely upset about things that are happening in the world, and then just general maybe you just had a bad day, and it all comes into this like psychedelic kind of sequence where it's like all these voices of just like different things. We actually sampled a lot of different just lines, like random lines, the radio.
Oh no. I mean, I don't remember all the details. I'm bad at explaining things. But we had this little radio that we were passing around. Like all of us were sitting in a circle, and we all would just do the voices. And yeah, Matt, our producer. Yeah, he's a great guy. Shards Studio does some great work.
Phenomenal work.
Yeah.
But essentially, we'll reference certain things, like certain biblical references. I referenced Star Wars at one point. It's very same thing. Absolutely the same thing. And it was a joy. And for the own music process itself, I came with a guitar riff, the opening riff, the doo 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 doo. It's like the whole guitar thing, and we kind of just built around it, and we all pitched in. That's kind of how we write, where one of us will bring something, and we're like, all right, where does they see going? And usually the person who brings the song has a better idea of where they want it to go, and we kind of collectively just form this experience where we figure out, okay, this is where this is where that is, and then we kind of collaborate on there, where we are all right, we all feel comfortable with the music that's going on, and we also feel great about the song in general. So.
And how did premiering at this theater come about?
Oh, it should. Yeah, I think it should be John.
Sorry, I couldn't hear the question.
How did premiering at the theater here come about?
Oh, well, I work at a screen printing shop called Lehigh Valley Apparel Creations, and we actually did the sweatshirts and stuff for this place. And I don't know, I think I just decided to check out their Instagram, and I saw that they were renting it out, and I was just like, this would be awesome. It had this. Just the way that the video feels, it has this movie feel. Haoyan did a great job of really just capturing this cinematic feeling that we were really going for. And when I saw that, I was like, why not? That would just be awesome, just to see it on the screen, just with the speakers and everything. And everyone was down with it. So. That's pretty much it. That's just how it happened.
Yeah. And sort of looking back on the music you've put out in the past, from 2019, Boulders and songs like that, and then kind of the music you're putting out now, where would you say kind of it has gone, and where do you think it's going to go moving forward?
Okay. You look
Let's go.
So at least with writing our past album, The People We Knew, it was kind of our first take at trying to be a band with each other and understanding our instruments. At least myself, I play guitar, and I never played bass before, and I kind of jumped in. John was a drummer before he joined us, and he started playing lead guitar more, and he was really getting into that role. So we were kind of worrying more about, with the past songwriting, what can I do for this song? I'm going to show off this cool bass riff, or I'm going to show off this cool vocal lead, and everything like that. And with the newer music that we're making, we've kind of taken a step back, and we're like, okay, we want to try to make more of an experience and kind of have our strengths go towards the songs. And we have a whole bunch of different influences, such as The Strokes, everything like that, with the new Abnormal, everything like that, Grammy winners and everything like that, to Peach Pit, a whole bunch of other bands. Pine Grove is also a huge one as well. And taking a lot of those influences and kind of understanding that's where we want to be and having an end goal.
and understanding that we all have to kind of work together and sacrifice on ourselves, not showing off as much, but giving the song what it needs, like giving the song, you know, the food, the water, the shelter that it actually needs to grow.
I like that.
Well, we'll give it fun stuff later on when the music's made. But at the very least, I feel like we've grown so much as people, and our bonds kind of grown, and that's been a huge thing with our music. We've been playing around for, God, how many years now? Like with this group, about 3 years? Yeah, about 3 years. And a whole thing with our set and everything like that is we want everyone to feel like we're all joined together. Like we're all just one family. We're all just playing with each other and having a good time. And I feel like that's what we want our music to emulate. So with this one, obviously it's this whole descent into madness, but it feels just like we're speaking to you. You know, we're having a conversation. And when we play this song, hopefully people will understand we're having a conversation and they can talk back to us.
Yeah, could you elaborate a little bit more on other musical influences? I know you mentioned like the Strokes, Pine Grove.
You seem like you want to
You're about it, Bob.
You're ready. You're ready to go.
But actually, Misdirection was older song like that we've been sitting on. That specific song was like influenced by bands like Surf Disco, No Vacations, The Growlers, like kind of like this surfy, but we took a more darker like tone with it. Rather than make it kind of fun, we kind of just like shifted from that. But actually currently we've been like into a whole bunch of different stuff. Like lately I've been into a lot of like R&B artists and a lot of hip hop artists, and see how their techniques and their like production quality can make like songs that we know and love, you know, work in that way. I can also like, at least with Jess's one, the one recently actually we did the other day, there was like this almost like spacey, like and I mean spacey, like outer space kind of like vibe of like, I hate to reference the Strokes again, but like if Julian Casablancas in his solo record where the synths, it's like very synth heavy, almost kind of like Daft Punk or Mojo or something like that. And I would say any other influences are like the new indie giants that have been happening right now. Crumb is, I think, one of our influences, I would say, in that point. Anyone from Mac DeMarco to Rex Orange County to Krungbin to you know any others? Yeah, so those kinds of newer artists that are like putting out and putting themselves on different like plane where I think like rock music, I use it very like lightly, can like kind of evolve into something like different that we haven't seen, or if we have seen, it's kind of like a fresh take on it, I would say. So hopefully with our new releases, which should be a couple months maybe?
I'd say so.
Yeah. We'll have more stuff in that vein, but Misdirection was definitely like kind of like that leap forward for us it's the new beginning. For us to do the new abnormal. Oh my God, I can't believe I said that.
So when was Misdirection written?
That was written, I would say, 2019.
Gotcha.
I part of the lyrics and part of the things I watched sounds really goofy, and I'm sorry that I'm going to say this, is the Joker movie, actually. And I took a lot of, I was so enamored by the movie just as a movie itself, and also just the themes about, you know, losing oneself and kind of like expressing it, and it could be expressed in like, you know, shouting, being a bit angry, or in his case being a mass murderer, but you know, it's a kind of a different thing. And I took that and I said, let's write a song about that, and I was in that mode, and it kind of pushed it out. So I would say like late 2019 is when we released it.
It was like immediately what we wrote after the album came out, pretty shortly after that, at least.
Yeah. So yeah.
And sort of a last question. You guys mentioned that you have new releases coming up. Where are you going from here in terms of is there going to be a next album, and what are some of your goals going forward? Long-term, short-term goals.
I can speak a little on it.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, now you guys correct me if I'm wrong, because I feel like our plan is ever changing. But yeah, we have some singles in the work. We're trying to kind of go forward with writing and then see what kind of fits into an album. We were talking about an EP for a while, but I know we're also trying to plan another music video for a single that we already have recorded and everything. So we wanna get better at, like, getting those videos, timed out in a way that we're always on the move, always able to put out new music or put out videos. And so, yeah. Do you have anything to add?
Yeah. I would say, I think at this point, kind of to what Mac was saying earlier about how in the beginning, or at least with the first album, we were kind of just finding ourselves as musicians, and we were trying to see where, as individuals, we would take ourselves. And I think at this point, we're finding where we can take ourselves as a group. And we just want to make good music. And I think at the very end, that's all we want to do, and we want to share it with as many people as possible. And I think with Misdirection, that's our jumping off point. That's where we're showing people, like, the next song that you hear after this might not be the same, but that's cool with us. But it's going to be a banger, just like this one. Check out the video. So, yeah.
Amazing. I think that really nicely wraps us up. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, seriously, thanks for coming out, guys. That was fucking awesome. Yeah. Nice, dude. Nice. We're not doing a Zoom call. I appreciate it.